A person of interest, a statement from Mark Harris, and proof that tens of thousands of dollars still owed. Plenty of new information being uncovered in the investigation into election fraud in North Carolina's 9th Congressional District. Spectrum News has complete team coverage covering all the angles tonight. We start with government reporter Jonathan Lowe, who's been on top of the story from the beginning with the newest developments uncovered today. Jonathan?
Certainly more pieces of the puzzle coming together. It was just this time last week that the state board decided they would not be certifying the results of the election in the 9th district race. We are about to show you some information that we just uncovered from the Federal Elections Commission. It is a screen capture of debts and obligations the Mark Harris for Congress Committee still owes to consulting firm Red Dome Group of Clements, that's just outside of Winston-Salem. You see here, Harris still owes them more than $34,000 for reimbursement of absentee work in Bladen County. Now, the State Board of Elections and Ethics Enforcement subpoenaed documents from the Mark Harris for Congress Committee. Red Dome Group, that consulting firm that I mentioned, was hired by the Harris campaign. The State Board confirms political operative Leslie McCrae Dallas is a person of interest in connection with an alleged absentee ballot operation in the 9th district. The allegation is that the Harris campaign hired Dallas, who then may have illegally collected absentee ballots in Bladen and Robeson counties, but Harris has denied knowing Dallas.
I trust the process that's underway, just as I've always trusted the decisions of the voters. I trust that this investigation will be full and complete, examining any alleged irregularities that could have benefited either party in this election or past election cycles. The integrity of our electoral process is the heart of our democracy, and we must protect it.
That was Mark Harris's entire statement that he posted to Twitter earlier this afternoon, unedited. Now, the state board says it will be scheduling an evidentiary hearing as soon as possible. We did reach out to the FBI. They confirmed that they're looking into this, that the FBI did not respond. Jonathan, the State Board of Elections said in that very lengthy statement today that they have been looking into election fraud issues since 2016. They actually sent a letter out prior to the midterm elections. They say that they got 10 calls to that hotline, and they're now including that in this investigation. So a lot to follow here.
And it should be noted that Dan McCready also withdrawing his concession yesterday as well.
Yeah,
Jonathan,
right.
Thanks for staying on top of this. We appreciate it. Meanwhile, Spectrum News reporter Ruben Jones continues our team coverage of this investigation, talking with folks on both sides of the political aisle, now expressing their own concerns about this process.
That's right, Jonathan. The story changing by the hour, and it is becoming more and more likely that a special election could happen, which would leave the 9th district without some representation for at least a period of time.
Extremely unusual.
UNC Charlotte political science professor Eric Haberlig says what's happened in the 9th is not only unusual, it's unprecedented.
I can't recall a similar incident in a congressional election in North Carolina.
Haberlig says it's very likely November's election will be thrown out, replaced with a new one. If that happens, there's a couple scenarios. Because of when some of the allegations occurred, the State Board of Elections could decide to hold a new primary between Robert Pittenger and Mark Harris, or it could just hold a new special general election between Harris and Dan McCready. Another question is whether the election would occur for all voters in the district or just in the contested counties.
There's pros and cons of doing each one of those, but it's entirely in the hands of the Board of Elections.
Either way, if there's a special election, people and money would pour into the district because it would be the only national race happening.
If you thought there was a lot of advertising this fall, you're going to get a lot more of it.
But if there's a special election, it leaves 9th district voters in a bad spot.
At this point, my guess is that when Congress swears in its new members in January, the 9th district will not be represented.
Needless to say, this is going to be very interesting. Haberlig says it depends on what the Board of Election does, but if there is a special election and one for the primary, it could be spring, Jonathan, or even later before we know who the district's new representative will be.
Once again, changing by the second. Ruben, thank you.